I don't know about you, but we have been graphing tons of walleyes the last couple weeks. They're everywhere, but they will not bite. They're stubborn, they're fussy, they're walleyes being walleyes, until you bust out the power finesse, the drop shot. Way to fish fast, put that bait in front of their face, and move it really slow. Let's take a little look at the components. Catch a few walleyes. 6-pound test. But we're gonna clean a couple of these tonight. And that is the perfect heater. Little drop shot in the snout. There I go, bumping us off spot lock. Like that. Really good at catching tons of fish, but you get a lot of small ones mixed in. We're gonna add this one to lunch. So just drop shots are just a super efficient way to fish fast, but finesse. Keep your bait right in front of their nose. My go-to setup is a little #2 Finesse Neko hook. It's got this little fluorocarbon keeper on there that's made for plastics, but if you shove that night crawler up over that and over your knot, it helps keep it up. I'll run a full crawler, sometimes I'll pinch off a third of it, run a 12 to 18 inch dropper, depending how high you're seeing them on bottom, and I like doing a 3/8 ounce weight. That egg style is just universal for rocks or weeds or whatever. I'm running 6-pound tests for my leader today, like a 20-foot leader, clear water, fussy fish, and just light line trying to get more bites. But the whole thing with the drop shot is just you can fish slow and keep it right in their face. You know that that bait isn't laying on bottom, you're not fishing it too fast, it's right in front of their face. So you catch a lot of small fish doing it, but it's really good and efficient for just covering water, but fishing slow and getting bites. Another thing I like about that Finesse Neko, you can see it's a longer shank hook. I like that it gets that bait away from that line. If you run just a typical standard little circle hook, when that fish is grabbing that worm, they're getting the mouthful of line at the same time. And I've just found better hookup ratios with that longer shank hook. And with that thin, sticky little Finesse hook, you don't do a big giant hook set. What I'm doing is just a reeling hook set, letting the rod load up, almost like a slip bobber or like a Lindy rig or something. You know, you're not just cracking them like you're popping a jig. Just slowly reel into them, and once you're about half loaded, then you can kind of lean as you do a sweeping reel. And with that Neko hook, you lose so few fish. The hookup ratio is just insane. And as far as working the bait, if I'm using a crawler, it's hard, but you gotta just slow down. That crawler's going all over the place. I'm so used to working a drop shot as a bass fisherman where you're doing a lot of like bop, 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 and just really popping that bait because you're the one that's creating all the action. But if you've got a night crawler on there and you start going crazy, it just wraps up and it doesn't look natural. So it's more of just kind of like a little lift and stop, drag, stop, and wait until that tip starts loading up. You know, if you're using a plastic, absolutely pop, 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 put that action into that bait. But crawler, slow and wispy. Same with little sucker minnows. Like a 3-inch sucker minnow is incredible on a drop shot, especially in the fall. Once you get towards like the back half of September, that's when those really shine. It's kind of late summer deal. Crawlers are just always the deal. You got lots of bug hatches going on, and there's just something magical about crawlers when you got 70-degree water. So I mentioned the reeling hook set, and a kind of an important thing to deal with that, whoa, the bluegills are liking this right now, is a soft medium light rod. I like about a 7-foot medium light or so. You want lots of load, and I pair it with Braid, which is kind of what gives me the power. But having that soft, mushy load for just kind of slowly leaning into them and then cranking down on them is what is just the perfect combo for me anyway, for hooking up and keeping fish pinned. And I like running a braided main line just for feel for when I am making longer casts. But I do a long fluoro leader, and like I said earlier today, super clear water, fussy fish. Got boats trolling in circles around us. I mean, they've seen baits and boats and splashing and noise. So I have 6-pound test on and probably a 20-foot leader. So basically my entire leader is all that's in the water. It looks like we've got this bright line, like, okay, won't they see that? It's literally laying on top of the surface, and it's only leader down there. So big spools just for big smooth drag. And also if you're making longer casts, and typically drop shots are thought of as like a vertical bait, but I love getting 30, 40, 50 feet out away from the boat, just because we got such spooky fish. And that's where that longer rod helps too, with the reeling sets. I know a lot of guys like 6.6 rods for drop shots, and if I could find 7.6, I'd be all over it. As far as weight sizes goes, 95% of the time I'm using a 3/8 ounce, which is actually a pretty heavy drop shot weight, but I just want to get down there fast and know where my bait is. So I know that even if I'm dragging it, shaking it, whatever, that bait is staying on bottom and I'm not losing contact. I know that sometimes you could probably get more bites with a lighter weight, but for me, like I said, power finesse. I want to be able to fish fast, make casts through schools of fish. If they don't bite, on to the next. And I know this is hitting bottom instantly. As far as locations go, anywhere you're graphing walleyes and they're not biting. Right now it's late summer and the water's warm. These fish are just still fussy until it starts dropping temps. I'm just seeing graphing tons of fish and they don't want to bite. So that's the reason I'm using it now. But literally anywhere that you're graphing walleyes and they are not biting, but more specifically this time of year, late summer, using it on outside weed edges and saddles, where you've got kind of like 2 points coming together and you've got a little saddle in the middle, or it's just a pinch point, like a high percentage deal where you got fish following the contours on 4 different spots, crisscrossing. X marks the spot, you know, you're just upping your odds of getting in front of more fish. I don't know if it's a walleye, if it's a bass, if it's a what. It's a pike! No! We were gonna end it here because we're running out of light, but we can't end on a pike, can we? Yuck. Oh. I lied, we are gonna end on a pike. This is one reason that I don't like to start with a drop shot, because you've got a lot more moving parts and a lot more things to get tangled and messy. Did you see that just pull out? I don't like to start with a drop shot. If I can catch them with a jig, catch them with a jigging Rap, whatever else, I'd rather do that. But when times are tough and I have to, I will. And now we're running out of light. My hands smell pikey. Let's get out of here. Nice sound effect.